Support.
The maestro, please!
Haven't had a big album dump in a while, and we're still waiting on it. This'll be for the week of
February 20th, 2021.
On this day in music back in 1964, a half-ton of Beatles wigs were shipped from the UK to the United States. When a reporter asked John Lennon how he felt about people imitating their style with said wigs, he famously responded, "They're not imitating us because we don't wear Beatles wigs." You know, it's funny, I mentioned last week that Andrea Bocelli was getting some playtime on TikTok of all places, and just this week on the classical albums chart at number 21 is Andrea Bocelli's Romanza.
Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
So we've only talked about 3 jazz albums this year so far, and 2 of them were just recharting albums, so we've really only talked about 1 new jazz album this year.
Singing.
I love rock and roll. I can't explain, I need medicine midnight.
Studio album number 10 from the Foo Fighters, a follow-up to 2017's Concrete and Gold. Given if you were really desperate, they did have those Foo files that were released intermittently throughout the past couple of years, but now you have a new album to listen to.
It's bigger than hip-hop, hip-hop.
Let's babe, good all the fake shit, I see through it. Straight with the Cartier, here with the Louis. Stay with the Glock, I ain't gotta get to it.
The debut mixtape from Pooh, Shiesty. We talk about a lot of debut studio albums from rappers, but they have typically released a mixtape before. So this is like the first debut mixtape, I believe, that we're talking about. I can't imagine a better time to release a greatest hits album than right when you perform at the Super Bowl. Well, at number 25, Black Coffee's Subconsciously charted.
And now I need some help from the maestro, please!
I came from nothing, I had to go get it, I had to finesse up the gang with. I done did everything for the niggas that I love who stuck in the chain gang.
Speaking of timing, the release schedule for the deluxe edition of this Lil Durk album was also well done, as it bumped it back into the top 5, and we talked about it for an additional, 2-3 weeks now?
Let's babe, good all the fake shit, I see through it. Straight with the Cartier, here with the Louis. Stay with the Glock, I ain't gotta get to it.
I guess we're gonna have to keep an eye on Pooh Shiesty considering the debut mixtape got this high.
I can't explain, I need medicine midnight.
You know, the story behind the recording of this album is actually quite interesting. They recorded it in this old house from the 40s, and apparently the house was haunted. You know, I don't really know if I needed to swap out the recording for the little snippet that I play, because last week we talked about After Hours, which obviously has blinding lights, and this greatest hits album also has blinding lights. But to remain true to form, I still use the recording from the highlights as opposed to the recording from After Hours.
I think I'm gonna stay right here tonight, cause I could be dangerous.
Still a bit surprised, and to be frank, disappointed that this is still number 1 despite the offensive things that he said. Yes, I get that he apologized, but why is this still number 1? So 3 new things to talk about, given one is a greatest hits album, but still that should hold you over until next week.
And now I need some help from the maestro, please! Maestro!